everyone. Welcome to the highly renowned pageant in the country, the Miss Social Work 2021, with this year's theme, Peace and Development. This is ASSKB Picot, your host for today. Are you all ready, guys? I can hear you. Because our four lovely candidates are all ready to show off their introductory videos to you.
Everyone, my name is Jeannie A. Caraban, 21 years of age.
Hi, my name is Ami P. Pontemayor from the Municipality of Claveria, a freshman student here at the University of Science and Technology of Southern Philippines Claveria campus, and I'm taking up Bachelor of Science in Social Work. And I believe in the saying, mankind must remember that peace is not God's gift to his creatures. Peace is our gift to each other.
Pleasure, good morning to each and everyone. I'm Virgin M. Pasaken, 27 years of age, first year student here at UST Claveria, taking a course of Bachelor of Science in Social Work. I believe the saying that peace and development have a relationship in social work.
Good day everyone. From the Municipality of Claveria, this is Kanya Sananda, a Bachelor of Science and Social Work student from UST Claveria campus. Living a quote that says, peace is the greatest weapon for the development that any person can have.
Wow! I was rendered speechless by how they delivered themselves in front of everyone. They are indeed confidently beautiful social workers. And I know that the judges are having a hard time right now. I am sure of that. But this question and answer segment will make it harder for them. So, let's see how the candidates have aced their question and answer portion.
As what you can visualize, here are the learning materials or references that were used by reporters for the reporting, as well as the topic highlights that we will going to discuss today.
Seven bodies recovered from the battle zone are buried here.
Wow! Let's give them a round of applause for their jaw-dropping and meaningful performance. Thank you, BSSW 1B students. Indeed, a home of talent, wit, and kindness. what comes into your mind when you hear the word peace and development? I know that these two words are easily be defined separately. However, one cannot go without the other, or one cannot do its purpose without the other. Since we are already in the first year level in the tertiary education, I know that all of us are already knowledgeable on what is peace and development. But to recall, peace is the absence of violence, war, and conflicts. I know that problems may arise every day. It is inevitable indeed. However, I want you to imagine living wherein all people are cooperative, organized, and coexisting with each other without any problem at all. We can call it peaceful indeed, am I right? And when we are at peace, we can consider ourselves safe from that community we are in. And not just that, by having a peaceful community or a peaceful life, developments will further arise. Development comes in any forms. It can be establishments, infrastructures, and even personal growth or personal development. Establishments can be a form of business organizations such as retail stores and companies, public institutions, or household. Meanwhile, infrastructures are buildings that can be used by the public domain, for example, bridges. And last but not the least, which is I think the most important for us to prioritize for, is the personal development. It comes from within. When we don't have peace within ourselves, then we can't give it to others as well. So therefore, let us practice on having that good attitude for us to have a healthy relationship with our co-fellow. I have a question for all of you. Have you seen someone who is an advocate of peace and development but doesn't have peace within herself? It's ironic, right? Therefore, we must practice what we preach. We must walk the talk, because if only we can do it in ourselves, then we can do it for others, for the whole community, and for all people that we encompasses. In taking everything into account, this pageant is held for a purpose that it can be an eye-opener for us and the social workers to be at peace within ourselves, because subsequently everything good will follow thereafter. Also, it is found out that social workers have a big role to partake in peace and development setting. Therefore, we must know our rules and functions. This can enlighten us, not just the contenders, but also all of us, the viewers. So stay tuned and don't miss anything on the pageant. Enjoy! Once again, this is your National Director, XSK Picot. Hello, candidate number 1. I hope you are doing good today. Here is your question. What are the issues of peace and development here in our country, the Philippines? I repeat, what are the issues of peace and development here in our country, the Philippines? You have 5 minutes to answer your question.
Peace is the precondition for human development and prosperity. Without a peaceful and stable international environment, development is out of the questions for any country. While development is the process of brainstorming, exploring, and researching public issues, the following issues that may hinder our goals of achieving peace and development here in our country are as follows. Poverty. Poverty entails more than the lack of income and productive resources to ensure sustainable livelihood. Its manifestation include hunger, malnutrition, limited access to education and other service, social discrimination and exclusion, as well as the lack of participation in decision making. The poverty state in which a person or group of individuals show lack of financial stability that affects all the other spheres of lives. Human rights. Human rights are problems that the human being, men and women, must take care of and solve. Because humans were naturally born with rights and freedom, therefore we have the ability to choose what to act, say, and do. However, when one is violated, issues may arise, and that is one of the issues that must look out for. War and justice. War involves violence and terrorism, and that is one of the most frightening things that have transpired in Marawi year ago, in which disrupt their peace and development. Hence, this is a big issue to our country. Those are the issues of the Philippines' peace and development.
Thank you for that wonderful answer, candidate number 1. Next up, candidate number 2. Wow, you look dazzling today. Here is your question. What are the programs and services of peace and development, especially to rebel returnees here in our country? Again, what are the programs and services, especially to rebel returnees here in our country?
The following are the programs and services of a specific setting. Social worker work in a variety of settings including mental health clinic, schools, child welfare and human service agencies, hospitals, settlement houses, community development, corporations, and private agencies. The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or the DSWD, is implementing several programs to achieve an inclusive and sustainable peace through intensified development and other peace-building initiatives, in line with its commitment and efforts in achieving the goals of the Philippine Development Plan 2017-2022. Through the execution of DSWD Memorandum Circular Number 3 Series of 2020, the DSWD, as the lead agency in social protection, conducts interventions in 2 tracks that follow the Peace Agenda of Executive Order Number 70 Series of 2018. The first track involves assisting former rebels and their family through current DSWD programs, including assistance individuals in crisis situations, psychosocial interventions, and other protective services. The other one is the Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations, or the AICS. The DSWD's protective services for the poor, marginalized, vulnerable, or disadvantaged individuals, as well as technical assistance and resource augmentation support to local government units, or the LGUs, and other partners include the Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations, or the AICS. It's also a social safety net or stopgap mechanism that helps people and families recover from unexpected crises like illness or the death of the family member, as well as other crisis situations. Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, or the 4Ps, the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, or Pantawid Pamilya, also known as the Philippines Conditional Cash Transfer, or the CCT program, is a health and education human capital investment program that provides cash grants to the poor families with children aged 0 to 18 years old to support their educational and pregnant women to access needed health services. This is in line with the state's policy of promoting social justice, a higher standard of living, and a better life for all. The other one is psychosocial interventions and protective services. Psychosocial support aims to prevent and mitigate the negative effects of crisis situations on the emotional well-being of children and their families, and is tailored to reach those who need it most. Structured counseling, motivational, enhancement and case management, care coordination, psychotherapy, and relapse preventions are examples of psychosocial treatments or interventions. And lastly, Payapa at Masaganang Pamayanan, or Pamana program, which supports the peace negotiation track and contributes to the goal of achieving just and lasting peace, was launched in 2011 as a priority program of the government. It is the government's peace and development program and framework. Its main goal is to provide development assistance to hard-to-reach and conflict-affected communities. Furthermore, social workers work in aiding conscientization. Conscientization facilitates conscious rising for the process of action, which can lead to the empowerment of marginalized groups. It also enables self-assurance and self-esteem to collaborate. Peace advocates for empowerment in social work training to reduce powerlessness and alienation, to gain more control over all aspects of their lives and social environment.
Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integrated Program, or the CLIP. With the most recent development in addressing the issues with rebels, President Rodrigo Duterte signed the Administrative Order No. 10 institutionalizing the Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integrated Program, or the CLIP. This program is a government program that aims to help the rebel member or CPP, NPA, NDF, or militia ng bayan to restore their allegiance to the Philippine government. Through this program, they can be integrated back to the community, be with their families, and start over with their new lives. The financial benefits intended for the development include but not limited to the following: reintegration program, firearms, explosives, and ammunitions remuneration, immediate assistance, livelihood assistance, livelihood materials and implement or employment assistance, access to government services, medical assistance, legal assistance, housing, modified conditional cash transfer, loan and market access, alternative learning system, psychosocial assistance, college tuition and stipend, and conditional transitional grant.
That's incredible, candidate number 2. You're next, candidate number 3. I hope that you don't feel any pressure right now. Here is your question. What is the relationship of social work and peace and development? You want me to repeat the question for you? Alright. What is the relationship of social work and peace and development?
What is the relationship of social work and peace development? Social worker can also contribute peace development in our community by supporting community service and community building to protect themselves, which are free from fear and violence, resulting to meaningful, sustainable development. In our society, there are various reasons why there is war and conflict, one of which is inequality, injustice, and deteriorating relationship. One of social cases is conflicting wards and their distress when the local institute fail to provide equal justice and economic opportunities. Yes, naagi tayo madunggan ng mga conflicting wards kung dili nato mahatag ang injustice and equality and deteriorating relationship. Mo na siya nga isip usa ka social work, kita dili ta maminaw ang anang mga conflicting words. Ang atuang paminawon ka na makaayo para walay gubot nga may tabo or walay war.
Thank you, candidate number 3. As what they always say, save the best for last. So here is our last candidate, candidate number 4. Here is your question. What are the roles and functions of social work in the peace and development in Philippine and international setting? Again, what are the roles and functions of social work in the peace and development in Philippine and international setting?
Thank you for that wonderful question, Ms. A. And to answer that, roles or functions and responsibilities of social workers in the assigned topic, international and Philippine setting, is that social work profession seeks to respond and challenge the unjust and unstable political, economic, as well as the social system that tend to perpetrate injustice and violence in the society. Social worker plays a vital role in promoting peace, human rights, and development by advocating the value, dignity, and worthy of a man. Social workers can play their role in institutional building, dialogue, and reconciliation. In institutional building, they are fundamental people who build resilience, support, reconstructive social relationships at both individual and institutional levels in an effort to develop peaceful communities. Social workers can support welfare institutions as a way of fighting inequality that may cause poverty in disadvantaged groups. As this momentum, social workers are advocates and advocators for the marginalized groups. Advocacies are known to strengthen the institutions that are involved in fighting for human rights. Social workers in dialogue and reconciliation set up are the ones who enrich human relations, mediations, consensus, collaboration, and team spirit. International setting, the modern international profession of social work was born in the context of acting for peace. The relationship that emerged between social workers of different countries during after the WW1 was marked by their united voice for peace and their responses to support millions of refugees who needed to rebuild their lives. Their work stems from the belief that peace is more the absence. Since the information of the modern profession, social workers throughout the world have continued to make sustainable contributions to peace building during times of war and maintaining peace when parts of society threaten conflict. There are numerous outstanding examples, especially in settings where the profession is regarded as independent of the political structures or they are identified as advocates for oppressed and marginalized people. Social workers have been able to facilitate substantial civil society movements away from conflict and towards a sustainable peace based on people's rights. In institutions of war, it is common that social workers create safe spaces that allow communities to reflect on their rights and lack of them. They help people to identify a journey that extends beyond the end of violence and to actively work towards a new society in which they would want. Social workers use multidimensional approaches to assist people to rebuild their hope, love of life, and role in contributing to a new society. This includes social workers facilitating informal self-led community. This includes social workers facilitating informal self-led communities. Social services have been bombed, supporting community-led economic development when the country's economy has collapsed, creating the therapeutic environments where traumatized families can learn to help one another, running workshops for teenagers that steer them into a life course of nonviolent resistance rather than the courage cycle of an eye for an eye. Perhaps the most challenging of all in the social workers' role in peace building is their work in humanizing their society's opponents. Social workers depend on the principle that all people have equal rights and that future peace, coexistence, and security sit in this recognition. Consequently, in situations of war, social workers have brought divided communities together to build common civil society actions that advocate for the end of violence and the transition to sustainable peace. Setting. In line with commitment and efforts of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD in achieving the goals of Philippine Development Plan 2017 to 2022, the department is implementing several programs towards the attainment of an exclusive and sustainable peace through intensified development, other peace-building initiatives. As the lead agency in social protection, the DSWD provides interventions following the peace and agenda. As the lead agency in social protection, the DSWD provides intervention following the peace agenda of Executive Order EO 70 Series of 2018 in 2 tracks through the implementation of DSWD Memorandum Circulation NC number 3 Agency in Social Protection. The DSWD provides intervention following the peace agenda of Executive Order or EO 70 Series of 2018 in 2 tracks through the implementation of DSWD Memorandum Circulation NC number 3 Series of 2020. The first track entails the provision of assistance to former rebels and their families through existing DSWD programs such as assistance to individuals and crisis situations, psychosocial intervention, and other protective services. Pantawid Pamilyang Filipino program. Moreover, the second track ensures social services for conflict-affected and vulnerable areas, CVAs, through programs such as but not limited to Kalahi, SEEDS, Payapa at Masaganang Pamayanan or PAMANA, social pension and supplementing feeding program. For the first semester of 2021, the DSWD has served many former rebels that their families under Track 1, while thousands of individuals and households in CVAs receives assistance under Track 2. In addition to the efforts of the DSWD in the whole of nation approach in ending the armed conflict and pursuant to Administrative Order number 25 Series of 2020, furthermore, the department aims to achieve significant progress in supporting the peace effort with armed groups and in the delivery of public services in CVAs by the year 2022 through continuous and effective implementation of other peace-building programs. On the other hand, to improve to deliver social services, the department has crafted social work case management guide for insurgent attorneys to serve as an improved support for case managers in extending support and services to former rebels, decommissioned combatants, and other groups who wish to return to mainstream society. The department is hopeful that these efforts will strengthen the peace-building initiatives of the government, especially in conflict-stricken communities. The inclusion of peace and human relations issues in social work curriculum would promote the transformation of relationships in society and help build community cohesion. Social workers can also contribute to peace building by supporting communities in building capacity to protect themselves. In addition to the efforts of the DSWD in the whole of nation approach in ending the armed conflict and pursuant to Administrative Order number 25 Series of 2020, furthermore, the department aims to achieve significant progress in supporting the peace effort with armed groups and in the delivery of public services in CVAs by the year 2022 through continuous effective implementation of other peace-building programs. On the other hand, to improve to deliver social services, the department has crafted social work case management guide for insurgent attorneys to serve as an improved support for managers in extending support and services to former rebels, decommissioned combatants, and other groups who wish to return to mainstream society. The department is hopeful that these efforts will strengthen the peace-building initiatives of the government, especially in conflict-stricken communities. The inclusion of peace and human relations issues in social work curriculum would promote the transformation of relationships in society and help build community cohesion. And social workers can also contribute to peace building by supporting communities in building capacity to protect themselves.
With
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Regine Pasoken, first year student at USDP Claveria, taking a course of Bachelor of Science in Social Work. Pwede ka na ako ma-interview sa among kuan, ma'am? Social Work and Peace Development.
Yes, pwede rin gid kaayo. Si Hazel Jane A. Munilar. Ako ang isa ko sa mga case managers diri sa Bahay Pag-asa. So, duha may ka case managers, isa ko anto. So, currently, gahandle kong 7 ka bata. Kay daghan na mong bata as of now. So, 7 akong ginahandulan nga bata.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Nakoy mga pangutana sa imo, ma'am. How are you doing as a social worker here in Bahay Pag-asa?
Well, as a social worker, full good ka of stress, di ba? Especially, naami sa isa ka institution na we are dealing different personalities sa mga atong kabatan-unan. Lahi na ba yung atong kabatan-unan karon kaysa sa labtunon ang ilang mga pamatasan tungod sa technology nato karon. So, as a social worker, it is fulfilling for me nga matagaan nakahat kana ang it is fulfilling for me nga makataba isa pod ko sa tao nga motabang pod sa ilaway na sila sa center. So, kana ang matabangan nato sila bitaw how to develop, how to improve themselves while na sila dire.
Are you familiarized with the peace and development settings? Can you verbalize it?
Yes, I am familiar with peace and development because here in Bahay Pag-asa, ang among mga bata gyud gina-instill gid namo sa ilang mga minds nga ang kalinaw importante gyud. At the same time, ma-develop po nila silang kaugalingon nga unsa day ka importante ang kalinaw sa atong surroundings, especially sa atong kaugalingon.
Thank you. Have you encountered any that connect with peace and development setting, such as conflict and war and like here in organization? How did you handle it?
Yes, of course. As an organization, maka-experience gid mi ni ani. One time nga naka-encounter mi problem tungod kay ang ginikanan gisulong mi diri. Wala siya kay kasabot unsa day ang Bahay Pag-asa. So iya ming giaway tungod kay ang ila dong bata gihimo namong helper or boy tungod kay diri sa center na aman tay everyday nila nga chores like at home na sila trabaho manghinlo manghugas plato. So na sila different assigned chores. So ang mama lahi yung pagsabot kay ang bata manggod lagi na siya trabaho. So feeling niya ang iyang anak gihimo na mong boy diri unsa to namo pag-handle. Ako siyang gipasabot nga, ma'am, gibutang ni mong bata diri ni perma ka sa mga dokumento nakasabot ka sa among pamalaod. Ang imong bata wala gihimo nga boy or helper diri sa Bahay Pag-asa kun dili gitun-an namo siya sa mga trabahoon sa panimalay tungod kay pag uli niya sa inyong makabalo na siya unsay mga trabahoon day sa balay o malipay pud ka ana kay of course imong anak na nakatunan sa Bahay Pag-asa.
What is the connection of social worker in peace development setting?
Okay, so here in Bahay Pag-asa no, dili magid namo malikayan nga naay conflicts, no? So as a social worker kami gid ang mediator. Like ang bata nag-away tungod kay lahi-lahi man sila personality, dili man sila magkauyon sila personality. So kami ang nagapatanga among gina here aside sa pikas and then at the end magka-okay sila tungod kay nakasabot sila sa ilang differences.
The rules and function of social work in peace development setting.
So, as I said kanina nga, dili sa Bahay Pag-asa na atay mga kabatan-unan, no? Mga children in conflict with the law o mga child at risk. So, gibutan sila diri because na sila problema how to handle kuan ba. Na sila diri to restore their social functioning. So, when na sila diri, dako ilang development tungod kay naam na sila intervention plan o participate sila sa ilang intervention plan. So, through intervention plan, mao na siya ang need sa bata nga imong ihatag sa iya ha. So, pag ma-meet na to ang intervention plan, iya na tong makuantanan. So, rest assured nga paggawas niya, iya na tong ma-instill sa iyang minds, iyang learnings diri. So, paggawas niya dako na iyang development. sa community, sa
Thank you,
family.
ma'am. Naagid mi na ko sa mga peace and development. So, thank you sa imong time nagyatag sa amo, ma'am.
Thank you.
I can see the faces of the judges from here, and I can say that they are really having a hard time. And that's a good job, candidates. For now, those who weren't able to finish the Miss Social Work 2021 due to some reasons, here is a recap or summary of the answers and the topics that were discussed to be given by our broadcasting team, Rest Day Salon. Rest Day.
Summary of the topic. Peace and development are two separate words, but one cannot practice its purpose without the other. When there is peace, development can occur in that certain area. However, if every practice is just composed of war and conflicts, then it is hard to have a development in uncountable aspects, for harmony and tranquility is nowhere to be found within the people. Social workers, on the other hand, possess a heavy responsibility to the achievement of these two, and that is why it is valuable to be studied thoroughly by future social workers to have an overview of what is to come in the future, and if one desires to be assigned in these fields of expertise. What are the current issues of peace and development in the Philippines? So, peace and development issue. Peace is the precondition for human development and prosperity without a peaceful and stable international environment. Development is out of the question for any country. For example, peace in the Philippines poverty entails more than the lack of income and productive resources to ensure sustainable livelihoods. Human rights issue are problems that the human beings, men and women, must take care of and solve. Because as human right, for the violence is the disallowance of the freedom of thought and movement to which all humans legally have rights. So that development is the process of brainstorming, exploring, and researching public issue. Philippines and also a war and justice in the Philippines, especially in the Mindanao. Are one examples of in the Mindanao is the Marawi. Marawi, more people suffered and more damage that we need to stand again for the better future for all people that suffered and those people got traumatized. That we need all support for the family and to those people that claim for the justice for their loved ones. The programs and services in peace and development setting include but are not to these things. Assistance to individuals in crisis situations or AICs, social safety net or stopgap mechanism to help people and families to recover the unexpected crisis. Psychosocial interventions and other protective services aim to prevent and mitigate the negative effects of crisis situation on the emotional well-being of children and their families. The Payapa at Masaganang Pamayanan or Pamana program, which supports the peace negotiation track and contributes to the goal of achieving just and lasting peace. Social workers work in aiding conscientization. Conscientization facilitates conscious rising for the process of action, which can lead the empowerment of marginalized groups. Meanwhile, roles and responsibilities of social workers in this setting, both international and local, were unfolded, and here is a list of them. Social workers create safe spaces that allow communities to reflect on their rights and lack of them. Social work profession seeks to respond and challenge the unjust and unstable political, economic, as well as social systems that tend to perpetuate injustice and violence in the society. Social workers plays a pivotal role in promoting peace, human rights, and development by advocating the value, dignity, and a worthy of a man. Social workers can play the role in institutional building, dialogue, and reconciliation. In institutional building, they are fundamental people who build resilience, support, constructive social relationships at both individual and institutional levels. Social workers in dialogue and reconciliation set up are the ones who enrich human reactions, mediations, consensus, collaboration, and team spirit. They are prepared for peace-building training during to have an involvement in issues about religious disparities and terrorism has emerged.